Hello everyone, it's Rebecca with the Glitch Stitchery. I'm here today with another Sips and Stitches with my Sips by box. And we have Mr. Glitched, aka Mike. So for this one, let's see, the first one on the list is Orange Passion Fruit Moringa Energy Infusion by Miracle Tea. I have no idea what Moringa is, but it has dried moringa leaves, black tea, hibiscus, orange peel, cornflower petals, natural orange and passion fruit flavors, and caffeine extract. So, it's definitely fruit flavored. I did add 1 teaspoon of sugar to each of these. And this is very orange. Alright, you want to start with this one? I know you're more of a tea person for fruit tea than I am. It also matches your shirt.
Smells good.
That one I could smell like from the other room while they were steeping. They are hot.
Not bad.
Alright, let's see.
I didn't get a lot because it is hot.
Very hot.
I was gonna burn my tongue.
Very orange. I don't actually really taste anything else, which
You don't taste much.
That confusing. Will probably taste more as it cools. Alright, next one on here is Moroccan Mint by Stash Tea. That one's green tea, spearmint, lemongrass, and peppermint. Yes, it's this one. I think I've had this one before. I think that it was included in one of my Paradise Fibers, because they send a thing of tea with your package. I've always liked this one.
What's this again?
Moroccan Mint. So it's like 2 kinds of mint. It's just mint, Michael.
I know. Someone else. That'd be good for you if you're not feeling good.
Yeah, or like, if I remember right, I made a really good iced tea.
That too.
Alright, next is Raspberry and Pomegranate by Ahmad tea. Yeah. So it's green tea, raspberry, and pomegranate flavoring. This one sounds like a Michael type tea.
Well, you're two so hard. Wow.
That's actually not bad. I can definitely taste both the raspberry and the pomegranate.
You can definitely smell this. Sorry. Touch a little dry. You can definitely smell the raspberry.
Kind of hits you as you're going to take a sip. The smell of it, you can taste it.
That's good.
Yeah, like I actually really like this one. I did not like the other tea I tried from this brand, but I like this one quite a bit.
What was the other one?
They sent us their version of Earl Grey that I did not care for.
Did I like?
No.
What did I say about it? Was
I don't remember. It was one of the earlier ones. I can pull it back up. But I remember the brand. But yeah, that one's really good. Alright, finally, we have the only one this time around that I thought needed milk. So we have Earl Grey Creme Vanille, or, you know, vanilla cream, by Tea Kitten. So this one was a loose leaf tea, so I had the little strainer thing on it. This is one of those ones where I'm not sure why, but occasionally I'll have an Earl Grey where it tastes like licorice. And I don't understand why, but this is one of those.
Like a black licorice? Like a red
Yeah,
licorice?
like I'll just occasionally have a black licorice flavor. And I don't know if it's me.
I don't smell much.
It doesn't smell like much. They never do. Well, this brand, anyway, doesn't.
Excuse me. Not hard, not
Like,
horrible,
it's not,
not bleh, but
yeah, it's okay.
it's not my favorite.
I probably won't buy it again, but it's not bad.
Or?
What do you mean? The only one from this brand?
Yeah.
We have another, I think we've had 2 or 3 from them.
2 or 3 packets of this?
No. They only sent,
that's what I was talking about.
they only sent like 4 servings of each tea.
Oh.
I thought you were asking how many flavors we've tried from this brand.
No,
I think 2 or 3.
I mean, as far as
I'm pretty
packets.
sure they did one of the fruit ones that we really liked, but I can't remember which one it was.
Was it the blueberry?
No, I think it was the tardy to the party.
Ah, yes, tardy to the
That
party.
one was good. All right, so yeah, not a bad month of tea here. Of the 4, I really like Moroccan mint. I mean, the
that
mint,
one I believe.
the
Yeah.
only mint, yeah. I just really like that flavor in general. I did not mind the raspberry one either. I would definitely drink that. I'm not huge on orange. Go ahead. Sorry.
Mint was good. That's something, I think that would be something I would drink maybe if it was like really, like if I wasn't feeling good.
Plus it's stash tea, which
yeah,
I particularly like. I buy them a lot.
The raspberry, I do like that because like she said, I do like the fruit bit of it. I am more of a fruit person. That one there.
The orange passion fruit, Moringa, energy infusion, lots and lots of words in one name.
Yeah.
Let's throw a dictionary.
I mean, I could drink it. It's not gonna be one of my favorites, but it's still high in the list. As far as the cloudy green tea.
Earl Grey. There's no green tea in
Earl
it.
Grey.
Black tea.
Excuse me. Wrong tea. Pardon me. It's okay. Would I drink it a lot? Probably not.
I will say my one thing with the Earl Grey is it said to use 1 teaspoon per 8 ounces of water, which I did. But when I make it for myself, I usually use more like 2 teaspoons per cup. So it might just be that I don't like it because it's not as strong as what I normally make for myself. I do try to follow the instructions when I'm sent these teas so I can like make them the way that make them the way it says to, but
yeah,
when I actually make it myself, I like it a lot stronger. So
I think I do too.
Yeah, I know you do. So for what we're actually going to do for stitching and such this week, I just wanted to talk about what I call commute crochet, or more specifically, stitching in the car and on the go, and how to fit your hobbies into your everyday life even when you're really busy. So I'm going to get all this tea put away, and then we're just going to chat about that. All right, so like I said, we're going to be talking about crochet and knitting, mostly crochet on the go. Especially right now with how busy I am and I'm still working full time and all that stuff. The little bit of crocheting I get done every week is mostly in the car. So I just want to talk about what I usually keep with me, what I usually look for in a commute project, just some things to avoid as well, and also just talk about like project bags and that sort of stuff. So first things first, usually if I have a specific project in mind, the first thing I do is pick 1 or 2 notions to put with that project to take with me. So the correct crochet hook, maybe a yarn needle, usually a tiny pair of scissors. I have a lot of those. But if I don't know what exactly I'm doing, then I have this. So when I say if I don't know exactly what I'm doing, sometimes I will just grab some yarns from my stash because I'm in a hurry, and I'll throw them in a bag and I'll throw in this pouch. So this is what I usually have with me. Not lately, but usually. So there's also like a notebook and some pens in here so I can take notes on what I'm doing. And then there's 2 smaller pouches. So this one is crochet hooks and knitting needles. Usually for the car, I bring these ones. So these are the Chowgu ergonomic, and they have the bamboo handles. And the reason I bring these over, say, Furls or one of my more expensive brands is just because they're really comfortable, but if I lose them, I'm not going to be heartbroken. I don't want to bring something with me that I could drop and break and then be like, oh crap, now I have to spend $20 to $30 on a new crochet hook. Or, oh crap, that was part of a set and now I can't have a full set and I have to either buy a full set or just be stuck with a missing piece forever. I don't really want that. So I have these. I have a few, I think it's in this one. Sometimes I'll match the hook to the bag. So right now this bag has this hook, which is a tulip hook. It is my only red tulip hook. So I should probably maybe get more of those at some point because it is relatively comfortable and I do like the color. So I have crochet hooks in here. I have 2 interchangeable Tunisian crochet hooks. These are the Knit Picks ones. And I have a couple cords in here to go with those. Just smaller sizes for if I wanted to make a hat or a scarf. And then I also have usually 2 sets of knitting needles in hat sizes. So these ones are 40 centimeter size 8s. And then I have 40 centimeter, I think that's 16 inches. I have a set of those that are chunkier that are currently with a project. So I'll usually have those 2 sets of knitting needles with me in this pouch as well. It fits everything pretty well. This is just how do you pronounce that? Nahi, indispensable tool, general purpose case. I think the company's called High Tide if you ever wanted to look for these. They come in a lot of colors. I think Yosaka Stationery Company carries them, but they're really useful because they have the clear, so they're good for this sort of tool pouch or for pen pouches, but I like them for crochet hooks especially. Then I have this with everything that's not a crochet hook and not knitting needles. So I have most of the stuff is organized onto key rings of one sort or another. So I have these little like gauge rulers, knit gauge swatch key, crochet gauge swatch key. I think this was a free gift from Darn Good Yarn at one point. I have crochet hooks on a keychain that are honestly pretty useless, but if I ever drop a stitch while I'm knitting, I can pick up a stitch pretty easily with these. Stitch markers. These are scissors. I think it's important to always have at least one little pair of scissors with you, just in case something goes wrong or your yarn gets caught and you have to cut it out so that you can at least salvage some of the project. I have other ones. I mean, you can find ones with like a sheath. These are really sharp. My personal favorite pair of on-the-go scissors is these. I don't remember where I got these, but they pull out and then they do that. I love these, they're so cool. I have more cords, the little keys for attaching the cords to interchangeables, yarn needles, a measuring tape, and stitch markers. I think that's about it. And that's all pretty standard stuff. I mean, it's not like there's anything that weird in there. For the stitch markers, you're going to want, if you're knitting, you're going to want to choose ones that are the size of knitting needles you normally use, or that you would predict that you would use. If you mostly knit socks, you would want smaller stitch markers. I mostly knit hats, and they're mostly pretty chunky, so I usually have pretty big stitch markers. So yeah, so that's what I keep with me for tools. Now, if I don't know what project I'm doing and I'm just grabbing yarn, tossing in my bag, this goes with it. If I do know what project I'm doing, I will pick the specific tools I need, depending on the project. That can also include buttons and pom-poms. But now, as for the project bag, you can just use a Ziploc bag. Like, it really doesn't matter. My one issue with Ziploc bags, well, I have 2 issues. The first being that they're pretty fragile. I guess this kind of comes down to the same issue, but they tend to get caught or the crochet hook or the knitting needles will poke a hole through your plastic bag, then suddenly your tools are loose in your bag, or eventually the eventually the plastic bag gets worn and you have to throw it away. Now you've just thrown away a plastic bag. I always feel bad about that. Or I mean, can you? I guess you can recycle those if you have recycling in your area, which not everywhere does for some reason. I don't really know why. So, alternatives to Ziploc bags. You can buy project bags, of course. They're kind of expensive for what they are. If you are able to sew, then you'd be better off just sewing some if you want the ones with pockets and whatever. Or you can just utilize bags you have on hand. This is a beach bag. I like it because it's clear and I can see what's in it. So I like to just throw a bunch of scrap yarns in here and a crochet hook or some knitting needles or both, and then I'll just be like, okay, I like these colors together, let's make a hat. And then I just keep adding scraps to it, and eventually I end up with some hats. So this comes with me a lot to work. And then on my lunch break, I'll be like, well, this shift's only going to be 5 hours and I'll be home before I'm hungry for dinner, so why would I bring lunch? So then I'll just bring a water bottle and I'll stitch on my lunch break. Or my ride to work, I ride with my brother, so I'm not the one driving, and it's almost an hour. And I will stitch for that whole hour to work. It's usually dark by the time we get out, so just the first hour. And over the course of a week, a lot of stitching gets done. I get a lot of hats done, like a lot. So that's always helpful, especially if you have a lot of family members, which I do, and they're always requesting hats. I guess they lose them, I don't know. So actually, this is the one I've been bringing with me the past few days. This bag, you know, like at like Target and Walmart and those sort of places around the holidays, they'll sell like gift bags of toiletry stuff. So lotion and shampoo, usually sample sizes, but not always, all just organized in a little bag, and they'll sell it as a gift set. So after the holidays, when those go on clearance, I like to buy a bunch of them, all different ones, because I like trying different scents, and then I can sort of sample a bunch of different products and scents all at once without having to buy full-size ones, and I end up with a lot of bags like this. So it has a handle on it, and it zips. And this is the perfect size for enough yarn for 2 hats, or enough yarn for 2 pairs of socks. You can fit a lot in here. So I actually have, I think they call this style dop bag, but I'm not actually sure. I have a hat going in here. Let's see. So, hat. I don't want to give too much of it away because it's for a family member, and I'm not sure it'll be done before this video comes out. And I have enough yarn in here for another hat that, again, is for a family member, and I don't know yet if it'll be ready before this video comes out, hopefully, but you never know. But yeah, I mean, this is a very convenient sized bag. It fits in my work backpack pretty easily. I can fit the crochet hook I want in there, or the knitting needles, and the little pair of scissors, and the sewing needle. Although you don't even actually necessarily need a sewing needle. Most of the time I sew my ends in with the crochet hook. I just kind of loop the yarn through the backs of the stitches in sort of a zigzag motion. It's kind of a lazy way of doing it, but it does work, so I don't really care. So yeah, there's that. And I mean, in addition to just usually grabbing random yarn and seeing what comes out when I'm crocheting or knitting or whatever in the car, I do also have like work in progress projects already in bags, organized-ish. And if I feel like working on them that day, I'll just grab it on my way out to the car. Or sometimes if I'm going to the laundromat and I know I'm going to be there like 2 hours, I'll grab one of those, work on it in the car while I wait for the laundry. If I know that I'm going to a family dinner and we're probably going to be playing like Mario Kart or something after dinner, and I don't want to compete for my own reasons, then I will bring a crochet project and just sit there and work on it. It's usually not Mario Kart, actually. It's usually Mario Party, which it, sometimes, not always. I don't always play. Let me think, what else? What is there to say about this topic? So you're also going to want to think about what types of patterns you're going to want to use for your to-go projects. For me personally, I'm usually making a hat or fingerless gloves, and I have those patterns memorized mostly, or I'll just like learn a new stitch and adapt it to being in the round, and I'll work that. But if you are working from a written pattern, you are going to want to do ones that don't require too much thought. You want something that you can either memorize or that you can refer to really quickly and know exactly where you are in the pattern. So probably not a complicated lace pattern. You're going to want something fairly easy. I know personally I can't really ride in cars and read at the same time because I get kind of sick. So basic stuff would be better. I mean, if you can manage to memorize a lace pattern, then I guess you could do that. I know I probably could not. I do a lot of shell style patterns because those are pretty easy, and also because since when you make the shell, it makes a little hole for the next shell. So I can actually do that by feel, so I don't actually have to look while I'm doing that. So sometimes even if it's getting a little bit dark, I can keep going. Or like once you get the increases done on a hat and then it's just straight on, there's little to no thinking at all. That's great. So you probably also don't want to do too many color change type stuff in whatever project you're doing, because you're going to have all those balls with you, and if they are all active, you know, strings going to all of them, then all it takes is for the car to do one hard stop and you've lost like 10 balls of yarn on the floor of your car, and now you have to get them all untangled. And no, that hasn't happened to me. Never. Okay, at least once. But ideally, try to limit it to 2 or 3 colors. Try to limit how many complicated things you're doing in the pattern so you don't have to refer to a written pattern unless absolutely necessary. And ideally make sure that you know the gauge of what you're working with and that you're not going to have to frog it, because that's always super depressing. And while it is totally possible to rip out stitches and rows while the car is going and you're moving, it isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do, especially since, how do I put this? Usually I tear out a few rows and then I wind it on. Now if you were tearing it out while winding it into a ball, then you would probably be fine, but I find sometimes, especially if the yarn is a little bit fuzzy, the stitches get stuck together. So I kind of do it more gently and slowly and then wind it into the ball. But then I have that ball of like this pile of yarn that I haven't wound into a ball yet. And if we go for a hard stop or a sharp corner or something, then the yarn's on the floor and it's messy and hard to clean back up. So there is that as well. Although maybe the person you're riding with doesn't drive like that. I don't know. Or, well, I mean, things happen. So you just got to make sure that whatever you're doing, you are prepared that if you do have to tear it out, you are able to do that. Probably don't want to be working with mohair or angora in a car, not only because of the tearing it out issue, but because cars are a bit dirtier than your house and the fuzzies will collect all that dirt and crap and it's very hard to get out. So there is that to think about as well. Personally, I have never knit socks in the car. I have crocheted socks. It's a little bit more difficult, but I'll take the notebook I have with me and I'll write down all of the rows that I have to do and I'll just check them off. And so it'll be one line of checks for the first sock and then the second line of checks for the second sock. And that way I can keep track of where I am in the pattern. But again, it's a pattern I've memorized, so it's not exactly the same concept, but it might help you to keep a notebook and write down where you are in the pattern as you go. So that there's that as well. Yeah, really the only thing else to say is that if you don't have a to-go project, you probably should. Especially if you are a really busy person, which most people are. I work full-time. I have a very busy life, and right now most of my life is in boxes. So this is most of the stitching I get done, at least for the next couple of weeks. But an hour to work, and then a 20-minute break. So that's an hour and 20 minutes. And if I work 4 shifts like that, then that is 5 hours of crocheting already. I mean, that's at least 1 hat, probably 2 hats. And then if you add in 2 hours of doing laundry, that's 7 hours. Crocheting in the car on the way to do errands, because I'm not the one driving, that can add up. If you are waiting at appointments, a little bit here and there, that can add up. If you are picking your kids up from sports or driving your kids to school and you're waiting in the, well, probably not if you're waiting in the car line. It's a little hard to drive while you're stitching, but you get the point. If you don't have a to-go project, you're missing out on a lot of time when you could be crocheting or knitting or even weaving. Actually, they make really tiny looms that you could use in the car, although I don't usually. I mean, you could be playing on your phone or reading or catching up on the news or whatever. That's fine too. I do that sometimes. But if you want to get projects done, or if you have a long to-do list of projects you need to get done, fitting them in wherever you can is a pretty good option, especially if you have all the little accoutrements that you could bring with you. So that's really all I wanted to talk about this week. I have to get back to packing, but I hope this was at least a little bit helpful for you, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you so much. Until next time.